The Phoenix Suns are falling apart behind the scenes. After the most embarrassing loss I've ever seen in Phoenix Suns history to the Dallas Mavericks, there's been this domino effect that's gone on with the organization, and to be honest, the Phoenix Suns are not looking like they're going in a positive direction right now. Now, there are so many reports coming about the game, how maybe the Phoenix Suns or the Mavericks had Rona and just dumb things like that, which I'm not really going to get into because I don't know how true they are. But we do have two things that have gone in the offseason that are very popular. One is the whole entire Robert Sarver situation, which we do have an update to, and number two, literally the entire Deandre Ayton situation, which I've said absolutely nothing about during the whole offseason. I'm gonna start with the Sarver situation because it's one, less popular, and number two, there's not as many things as I need to go into. For those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, basically a while back, Robert Sarver was basically being accused of a lot of terrible things, whether it was misogynistic or racist or overall just a toxic workplace. And this was like right at the beginning of the season. I think the news actually broke during the Suns and Lakers game. Now, what I thought was crazy at the time is that after a couple days, really the whole situation just kind of went away. Sure, people made their videos and news reports and whatever, but nothing was ever said about it afterwards. It was in the back of a lot of people's minds, but to be honest, I think a lot of people just thought that they were gonna throw away the whole situation. And for people that don't understand how bad it is because of being kind of vague about it, but to put it into perspective, the claims that are being made were just as bad, if not worse, than Donald Sterling. And for those of you that don't know who that is,
what's wrong with black people? What's wrong with these families?
It's like talking to an enemy.
I never dreamt that this could happen.
now all the calls that got leaked about Donald Sterling and everything he said is fully out to the public. In fact, if you just look up Donald Sterling, you can see the whole like 9 to 10 minute TMZ call. So when I say the Robert Sarver situation and everything he's being accused of is worse than Donald Sterling, I fully honestly believe that. And if we look at how the NBA and the world as a whole reacted to Donald Sterling, I can't even imagine what would happen to Robert Sarver if everything that came out was true. As soon as those calls got leaked, Donald Sterling was banned from the NBA for life. His own players on his former team were also protesting, and so were many players and NBA analysts and overall people in the league. And that's probably why you haven't heard his name in over 8 years, up until the whole Robert Sarver thing came out, because a lot of people were comparing the situations. Now, when I say stuff like he's being accused of misogyny and racism and things of that nature, I'm literally just saying that because that's really all they've gave us to a certain point. ESPN did drop an article in November right when this was going on, and they gave an example where Sarver basically was just asking why he couldn't say the N-word and Draymond Green can, and Earl Watson, who was the head coach at the time, told him that he can't say that shit. I want to remind you that the NBA is doing an investigation, so obviously when an investigation is going on, not a whole lot of things are really going to come public. Again, there are so many things that are probably going to end up coming out if all of this stuff is true, so I'm not going to fully get into it. However, we do have some updates. The first update we have came in mid-April when an ESPN article came out saying Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver retiring as Western Alliance executive chairman amid NBA investigation. Mind you, this was in April, and this is when the Phoenix Suns were going on a tear and they were about to be in the NBA playoffs, so obviously nothing was going to come out. I'm also reading something that said in early June that the NBA did announce they were near finishing the whole investigation, which would make sense. But we do have one more update, which was the actual reason why I wanted to bring this up in this video. So 5 days ago, Baxter Holmes, who's actually been covering the entire situation, so any article that I've brought up that's been talking about Robert Sarver has been from Baxter Holmes. But basically, the news article says a longtime Phoenix Suns employee resigned from the team last month, alleging she became the target of bullying and retaliation by superiors after raising gender equality concerns and misconduct within the organization, documents obtained by ESPN show. So now you have a longtime employee of the team quitting because of, well, literally everything that Sarver's been accused of. Everything Sarver's being accused of is literally in this article from a woman that's been with the team for 15 years, and it said that recently things have been so bad, even despite the team's success. With the offseason technically starting July 1st, even though I really consider it already started because we have trades and obviously the finals are now over, I would expect to see a Sarver update from the NBA, whether it's in July or maybe even in August, hopefully before the season. I'm not gonna lie, I've never never liked Robert Sarver from just a basketball standpoint because he's terrible at his job, and honestly, I think he's a piece of shit. Now, like I mentioned earlier to the Donald Sterling situation, with everything that happened to Sterling, he was immediately kicked out of office, and while this isn't as popular right now as Sterling was, I could honestly see him being kicked out just as much. Now, the thing is that they were able to quickly find an owner. I don't know who's gonna buy the Phoenix Suns. Maybe a bunch of stockholders would do it or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But if you guys want me to buy the Phoenix Suns, leave a like on this video and subscribe. Also, you should become a member because as soon as free agency starts, I'm literally gonna have daily videos talking about everything that happened because, well, a bunch of shit is gonna go down. And now we're gonna transition from Robert Sarver to Deandre Ayton, which I think has been the most popular offseason story. This started a while back because Deandre Ayton wanted a max like some of the other guys in his draft class like Luka Doncic and Trae Young, and honestly, a lot of people at the time fully thought he deserved it. And to be honest, if we're paying Chris Paul $40 million a year, then yeah, I think DA should deserve a max. However, a lot of things have came out, and to be honest, even if he was offered one, I don't think he's gonna take it. For starters, we had a report come out from someone. Now, I don't know how true this is because sometimes people like to make things up, so take this with a grain of salt. Actually, take it with like maybe a tablespoon because I'm starting to think that this makes a lot of sense. Now, this woman claims she got some inside info from Deandre Ayton's tattoo artist. The tweet would continue as, "He's gone and I can confirm Book and Monty are a huge reason why. Apparently they got into it, it's pretty bad." Yeah, he didn't go into specifics but said Book disrespected him, Monty got involved, and he wasn't fucking with them after that. I don't remember where, but I swear to God at the end of the season, I think I did hear something about DeAndre Ayton and Monty Williams getting into it, and I think at the end of the season when they were doing their end of season conferences, whatever you called them, he didn't bring up DeAndre Ayton. I looked into the person that did report this, and she's not a reporter from everything I can tell, so there's a chance it's fake, but again, it also could make sense. Now, I'm going to tell this next part from DeAndre Ayton's side, and then I'm going to tell it from the Suns side, because this could be a positive for both sides. I've said this for the longest time, but I said if DeAndre Ayton was on any other team, he could be the second or maybe even the best player. He has the talent to be a leading star for a team. Obviously, some development would definitely help, but he could get there. And obviously, with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and the possibility of them bringing on another superstar in free agency, there was no way DeAndre was going to be that guy. So I think if DA did get traded to a certain team, which there are a couple teams I've seen involved, like the Hawks, which is actually really popular right now, maybe the Hornets or the Pacers, then I think he's going to do very well on those teams. However, he's not going to win a championship on any of those rosters. I'm just going to say it right now. The Nets are also possibly in it because I keep seeing Kevin Durant to the Suns, and honestly, I wouldn't be mad at that, but it's just a possibility, so I'm not even going to seriously consider it. Now, when we look from Phoenix's perspective, some people are going to say, I mean, yeah, they took a really big loss, but what are they going to benefit from the trade? I don't expect Phoenix right away to get a player of DeAndre Ayton's talent or even better. I just don't think it's going to happen. Unless it's for KD or Damian Lillard, which is something I've been seeing lately, then the Phoenix Suns are probably going to be taking an L on the trade at first glance. However, a point that someone made that I've actually been thinking about for a while is that you don't need a really good center to win a title. Sure, it does help, but you don't really need a guy like DeAndre Ayton, especially because he's a modern center. Now, I like modern centers, so I honestly do think that it's good. However, I really do think Phoenix can win a championship with JaVale McGee, and if they get another superstar like it's being reported, then I think this roster is going to develop even better. Obviously, there's questions on who would be traded if we were to get a superstar. Like, I've heard Mikal in the mix, and I don't want to lose Mikal. Shit, I'll give you DeAndre Ayton, campaign, and a bag of Doritos, and you give us Kevin Durant. Sounds fair? Yep, that's fair. The point is that DeAndre Ayton was supposed to work out, but it didn't, and now it seems like Phoenix is going to have to trade him, so it's going to be interesting in the offseason to see where he goes. I know I talked about the Hawks earlier, and it seems like a player that Phoenix would probably get is John Collins, and I actually do like John Collins. And if he was traded to Charlotte, there's a possibility of Miles Bridges, which I'm going to talk about Miles Bridges in a future video because the Hornets have been an absolute shithole this offseason. Even though Phoenix is not looking good behind the scenes, I do expect things to get better to a point. It really does just depend on DeAndre Ayton, and it also does depend whether or not Sarver is going to leave office. If you want to see the Sarver video from like 10 months ago, I'll put it on the screen right now so you get a little bit more context, even though it's probably outdated. But anyways, I'll see y'all boys in the next one.